What's going on, guys? Welcome to my Descendant build series for the First Descendant. Today we're going over my mobbing build for Ines.
Ines Rea, Hound Unit, commencing operation.
Mobbing with Ines is extremely fun. She is very fast-paced and a super powerful AoE juggernaut. Since she's new, let's quickly go over her abilities and how they work. Ines causes a debuff called Conductor with all of her attacks. Attacking an enemy that has Conductor takes additional damage. So having this up on as many enemies as possible is very important. Inflicting Conductor also builds her custom resource, which is called Plasma. Her first and second abilities build the Plasma gauge, while the third and fourth abilities consume it. Her first ability is called Chain Lightning, which does exactly what you'd expect it to do. It chains from one enemy to another. In its base form, it can bounce up to 7 times. Her second ability, Lightning Conductor, creates current coils on nearby enemies to deal damage. Using this ability after Chain Lightning is a really powerful 1-2 punch combo and will build up her plasma gauge quite fast. Her third ability, Discharge, is a wind-up ability that does massive damage. It's a frontal cone attack, and releasing the button at the right time will maximize its damage output. This ability at base costs 150 plasma to use, plus an additional 30 per second while winding it up. Her final ability is called Snare Hunter, which places a plasma circle on the ground that causes continuous damage to anyone within it. This ability costs 350 plasma and can be used 2 times, assuming you have enough plasma, that is. And yes, they will stack if you place them on top of each other. As I said before, all 4 abilities cause Conductor, as well as dealing additional damage to those inflicted with Conductor. An important thing to note is that you can't give Conductor to an enemy that already has it, i.e. won't build up additional plasma. So keep that in mind if you're wanting to build your plasma gauge quickly and keep it up. Her passive is pretty impressive. It's called Plasma Oscillation. Your maximum MP increases your skill critical hit rate, and all skill critical hits restore your MP. Firearm and skill crits on an enemy with Conductor causes Dark Current, which is a dot that deals damage based on your max MP and also inflicts Conductor on those that don't already have it. Killing enemies inflicted with Conductor also has a chance to cause Dark Current. So her entire kit is a nice sort of circular rotation of carnage, and it's pretty awesome. Ines is very much a crit descendant in literally every way, so building her as such is an absolute must. Let's get into the mobbing build. For her transmod, you'll want to use Time of the Hunting Hounds, which modifies her first and third abilities. Her first ability becomes Floating Lightning, which reduces its max bounces from 7 down to 4, but can now be cast 3 times instead of 1 and deals more damage. Her third ability becomes Snare Acrobatics, which changes the frontal cone into a leap forward, followed by a flip that causes a lightning burst AoE around her. It causes both piercing and blast damage and is great for clearing groups quickly. The rest of the build is Enlightenment, Focus on Tech, Decimator, Frontlines, Increased HP, Focus on Electric, Skill Concentration, Nimble Fingers, Skill Insight, and Skill Expansion. If you find yourself having trouble generating enough plasma, you can swap out Decimator for Potent Collector. I didn't find it all that useful, but results may vary. Different playstyles, all that fun stuff, so you do you. Next up is the build that I use for Void Erosions. This build works fantastic, especially while soloing. Note that this build also works great against Deathstalker and Defiler if you're having trouble with either of them. It uses her transmod Plasma Ball, which converts her passive skill into a plasma shield around you. The shield's strength is based on your HP, MP, defense, and your attribute resistances. It lasts for 60 seconds or until it gets destroyed and will automatically reapply itself every 16.7 seconds with this build. This shield is insane and basically makes you unkillable while it's up. You can just eat massive attacks like Deathstalker and Defiler's attacks like they're nothing. Seeing Super Tank Ines taking massive attacks to the face and just shrugging it off like it's nothing is extremely satisfying. The build is Nimble Fingers, Skill Concentration, Focus on Electric, Skill Insight, Increased HP, HP Amplification, Focus on Tech, MP Conversion, Enlightenment, and Increased Defense. With Ines, you want to use a tech reactor because her Hunting Hound's transmod changes her first and third into tech abilities, thus making her tech across the board. However, when using the Plasma Ball transmod, you'll want to use a singular reactor because your 1 and 3 are naturally singular, though that's up to you. The tech reactor still works just fine either way. If you have a built bunny, odds are you already have a singular electric reactor lying around, so you're good to go. If not, that's fine too. For external components, I use the Slayer set for the extra 26% skill damage. The Supernova set isn't as useful on Ines because it requires electrocution, which Ines doesn't inflict. However, if you want to use it, you can just use electric enhancement on your weapons to apply the electrocution, or electric weapons like the Thunder Cage or Voltea. It's up to you, but I find the Slayer set to be the better option overall. For weapons, I recommend the Secret Garden as her main weapon, the Thunder Cage for quick cleanup, and the Voltea for shields in void vessels and erosions. Here are the builds I use for those. Overall, Ines is an amazing Descendant, and she was an absolute blast to build. She is incredible at mobbing and a great bosser as well. I highly recommend her, especially if you're into fast-paced and more chaotic type playstyles. She's really fun. Check out my other Descendant build videos, and please feel free to ask any questions you may have about this build, any of my other builds, or about Ines herself. And that's it for this video, guys. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Later.